Yay, we are live. So I had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I hope all my Canadian friends had a great Thanksgiving yesterday. And I wanted to say thank you to all my Patreon and Ko-fi supporters and my YouTube members. I greatly appreciate you guys as well. We are going to start the intro and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Yay! And there is our October calendar for those of you who don't have it. It is in the groups and the announcements, so you can get it there if you need it. Last week we did a box and we showed how to put basic shapes together to make that box. Yes, I hope your puppy is doing great, Marianne. Marianne got herself a new puppy. But anyway, we created that box, and I went in and I added a few things to it. Now I don't have it pulled up here, but I'm just going to go to the overhead, and we're going to put that little box together that we made, and then we're going to come back and visit here in Design Space, and we're going to work on doing some uploads and showing you the difference between PNGs and SVGs and JPEGs, because some of you are having some issues with that and how to cut it and what materials to cut it out of. So we're going to go over that. But first we're going to start and we're going to wrap up last week's, which was the little box we designed. And I really didn't make any changes to it, guys, except I moved the window and made sure that it was in the right spot for the box. That was all I did. Then I added a piece of scrap because I had some scraps of this to use, but you can cut your window out of whatever you want. So I added a window so that it would, you know, look like it was finished instead of just having an opening where you could touch the product. And I added a label so that you guys, if you wanted to, because like when I was doing these, I couldn't find papers that I wanted to match, but you can cut labels. I just cut this out of copy paper, and I'm just going to stick Bath & Body Works hand sanitizers. These are the little 1 ounce, $2, I think they're $1.90, yeah, $1.95 little hand sanitizers that you get from them. So we're going to put this little box together. Yeah, isn't it cute? And everybody, if you followed along last week, if you want to make any changes to this box, you should know how by going over last week's video. But you're just going to fold on all these score lines that we put in on it. Okay? And then you're going to fold all your little tabs in. And I'm using a double-sided paper here. You don't have to. This is Anna Griffin cardstock that I got way back when. I don't even know if this is available, guys. It just comes in little sheets that are maybe, I don't know. I got this at Mountain Make-a-thon, but just little sheets. And they'll fit on these. They are just over 9.5 by 5.75, so 5 3/4. But you can cut these little boxes out of scraps if that's all you have, and you can get 2, maybe 3 out of a 12 by 12 sheet. So if you're making a bunch of these for a party or a gathering, whatever, like I said, when we made these, you can use them for birthdays, as favors or wedding favors, just about anything. And we're just going to glue that tab there. And I got a little bit more glue than what I really wanted. Let me And I'm just going to fold this over. Just going to stick it down. Yeah, I got too much glue. It doesn't want to hold. And I think this paper, I forgot, I think this paper does have some kind of a coating on it. I'm just going to give it a second to dry. Yeah, if you're not seeing it live, please refresh. Okay. I'm showing everything is good. We got a good signal, everything. So we're just going to let that dry a little bit. You want to keep them even. I got too much glue and it's wanting to be slippy slidey. So once you've got that done, then I just fold in the bottom. Now my window is on the front. I've got this closure going to the front on this one, and that's just so they can open it up and slide it out and still see the product because we have a window in it, okay? You don't want a window in it, use your contour and hide that. But I am going to fold the back piece. This piece is the front. I'm going to fold the back in first. That way all of my seams, my side seam and my back seam are to the back. And we're just going to fold that in. There we go. And I just reach into the hole there and press those little tabs down. You don't have to glue those if you don't want. Totally up to you. So I've set the window down just a little bit so that when you close it, this tab doesn't show through and you have an area to put some ribbon or a bow, or you can have some writing up here, whatever you want. So if you want to do these as print and cut, I think they will fit on print and cut. So I'm just going to take a little bit of double-sided tape. And again, I'm using copy paper just because that's what I had on hand real quick. But you can certainly cut this out of sticker paper. That would be the way to go. But I didn't want to drag all of that out last minute just to show you guys that I added a label. So I'm just going to peel that off. This backing. My protective layer. And I'm just going to place it over the label. Stick it right down. So now I've changed my hand sanitizer up a little bit. They can peel that off and still see the label, and you've got all your ingredient stuff on the back, so you're not hiding anything. But I also used up some scraps of cricut foil acetate that I had. And don't forget to pull off your protective coating on these. And there's 2 score lines. You're just going to fold them both in the same direction. Okay? And I did it this way because I wanted to use up scraps, and I didn't want to have to worry with gluing that in. Got that a little bit. I think I'm off just a hair. If yours is off just a hair, just fold it again. Not going to hurt anything. It's not going to show. It should be. I should have done that. Should have taken 0.15 off of it. I'll go back and do that. So you just want it to fit in there. Just slips right in. And then you're just going to drop in your little sanitizer and close it. Okay? How cute is that? And then on this one, because I did this one as the breast cancer awareness, I'm just going to do a small bow like this right on the front, just to go on the front of mine. You can do yours any way you want. You can tie the little bows, anything like that. I'm just going to cut a couple of pieces of my double-sided tape. I might need a glue dot instead. Let's see. There we go. It peeled. My backing is super sticky tape, so it doesn't want to turn loose. There we go. So how many practice making boxes last week? I'm still having a hard time getting that off there. Doesn't want to lift. There we go. Super, super easy. Super cute. Kind of covering my window. I should have put it at an angle. There we go. And you could always put a little safety pin on that so that they could wear that ribbon as well. So super easy to do. Yes, we did the little Ghirardelli chocolate squares a couple of years ago. We sure did. And those went on right on the front of a card for Valentine's Day. And by the way, guys, I did get all the files fixed. So super easy, super quick, super simple. And this box cuts in seconds, guys. So you can do a bunch of these in no time at all. So if anybody has any questions about the little boxes, we can revisit those at any time. You just let me know. So that will wrap that one up. And I'm just checking chat and make sure that I didn't miss anything. All right, let's go over to the monitor. And Ann is with us tonight, and Ann had some questions on how you can layer out images and things like that that she was finding online. Because a lot of us do look for our images online for personal use. We're going to be using the Falcons image. This is one of the images that Ann was having a little bit of trouble with. So we're gonna use that to help kind of ease her in to how she can make this work for her. And sometimes it's easier using the image that they're trying so that things will click and they will understand how to do that. So what I've done is I've gone online and I have grabbed just off of Google, just a Falcons image, okay? And it was a PNG, so it had a clear background. I also found one, and I'll slide that one over if my mouse is going to let me. There we go. I found one, and you can see this one looks kind of weird. It's all pixelated. Your image quality is going to matter. It matters greatly when you're trying to clean up an image for your personal use. If it's pixelated, you may have issues cutting it. Even though it looks clean, it's not. If you look here, you can see all these little jagged lines. Now let me show you the PNG that I found and take a look at the difference. You see, even though this one is in the gray, it doesn't have all those pixelated lines because you can see here and then here. Two totally different images. One is a screenshot that I found on Google and took a screenshot of it. One is a PNG that I got from the Atlanta Falcons. It was Atlanta Falcons logo is what I looked up, and it was there. And it does say could be subject to copyright. So if you guys are making things, remember you can't sell those things. You can make things for your personal use, but you can't sell them. You don't have the license unless you go to the Falcons and you get the license to sell it, okay? So you need to be aware of those things. But this one is not going to clean up well, and I will try to show you here just a little bit. Now, I already have some images. This is the one that I'm going to be uploading. This is the PNG, and then I'm going to show you the other one as well. So I'm just going to hide all of this right now because I did some work on a couple of things, and I don't want to take a bunch of time to show you guys every little square inch that I clean up. Okay, I'm just going to go through the steps. So you found your image, and you're going to, and you have it on your desktop or in your downloads folder, and you're going to upload it. The first thing that you want to do, hi Susan, is you're going to come into your canvas and you're going to click upload. You're going to upload again, and then you're going to browse or you're going to drag it over. Now this first one that I'm going to drag over is going to be the one that is pixelated and not a very good image. And I'm going to select complex, and I'm going to hit continue. You will only see that step. Let me go back. You're only going to see this if you do not have an SVG, a scalable vector graphic. An SVG is already in layers. It's already separated by colors, and you can put them together for a print and cut. But this is a PNG or a screenshot or a JPEG, which is a photo. And they are not layered out. They are one single solitary layer. They are not layered. And you're going to see that. We're going to select complex and we're going to hit continue. And I'm just going to make this smaller so that we can see it. And you can see I've got this big white square back there because that's the way a photo is. A photo is a square. It is not a shape. And I'm going to hit continue. And so when I hit continue, if I don't save this as a print and cut, then all I have is this big gray blob, a square. And that's because that's what Design Space sees. It sees that shape when you're going to cut it. Okay? I can change that shape. Let me see if I can get it there. By going in and selecting and changing out and getting rid of this white area. Now all I did, it's already set for my magic wand up here in the top left, and all I did was click on it. But you can see all of this jaggedness. You're going to see that here as soon as I hit continue. Now you can see that it sees a shape, but it doesn't see all these colors in the middle. It still only sees the shape. Yes, Pat, I always choose complex, and let me show you why. That's a very good question. Let's go back. If you click moderately, you can see how it took out some of the red. But when I select complex, it leaves the image as it is so that you have something to work with. Okay? But big difference. Changed all the white to gray. This one is going to take away some of the red and leave that a darker gray. And then complex is going to leave the image intact. This isn't a very good image to do that, but if you've got an image that has like 12 or 15 colors in it and you select simple, it's going to look really weird. If you look here in these squares, here's complex. This is what the image actually looks like on a gingham background with all the details in these flowers. You lose some detail at moderately and you lose all the detail at simple. Okay? So that's what these are. So you can take a look and you can see how much detail you're going to lose by going with simple versus the complex just by looking at your images here on screen. Okay? So now we're just going to hit continue. We're going to use our magic wand and take that out. But we still know, let me make this smaller. When I hit continue, I still have this shape now because I got rid of that white background. Now I have a shape, but it's still solid in the middle. There's not really a whole lot you can do with that. And you can see how jagged and how pixelated that image is by looking at the edge. Now you can wrong button. You can on occasion go in and clean that up just a little bit better by going into your advanced options, and I think we covered this a few weeks ago. I'm going to set this at 100 and see what it does. And I'm going to use my magic wand and I'm going to take that out. I'm going to hit continue. And it's not as bad on these edges, but it's still pretty bad because the image, I didn't start with a good image. If you don't start with a good image, you're not going to end with a good result. Does that make sense to everybody? If you start with a bad image, you're most likely going to end up with a bad result. Okay? So make sure that your images are good for cleaning up. So let's go and let's look at the PNG. We're going to get rid of that guy. I'm just going to throw it in the trash because it is horrible, horrible, horrible pixelated image and we don't want that. So I am going to go, see if I can get my mouse to play fair. There we go. We're going to hit back, back, Unable to load image. I don't care. Let's go. Let's go here and let's go upload. Now I'm going to bring in my Falcons logo, and you can see that it's a 800 by 600 PNG. Very nice, pretty clean image, looks good. Still going to select complex and hit continue. Now I want to clean that image up because I'm going to be faced with the same thing over here, but you can see how nice and smooth that one is. Still, it's great for a print and cut, but if I'm going to use it as a cut image and save it as a cut image, it's just going to be whatever color of cardstock or vinyl or whatever it is I cut it, that's the shape it's going to cut. I'm not going to have any detail in the middle of it. So there are ways around that and getting this layered up from a PNG. I'm just going to hit cancel. I'm going to drag it in again. And you can see I've already got those images in there, but I'm going to show you guys how to do that. I'm just going to drag it over and bring that image in. So we're starting new and we're going to hit complex with our good image. And I want to have the gray layer, I want a white layer, I want a red layer, and I want a black layer. Now sometimes you're going to have to clean it up that many times to get there, but with this image I don't have to, so I'm going to do a couple of shortcuts that some of you may not know that you can do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to go to the advanced options, and I'm going to change that to 100 because I want it to clean up well. Okay, and I'm going to come in here and I am going to get rid of the white. Oops, 100's too much. You see it took out my gray as well. So I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to upload. I'm going to bring in my image, complex, continue. And I'm not going to use the advanced options here. I'm just going to select my wand. I'm going to come in here and take out the white, take out the black, and the red. You see all of that garbage that it's leaving behind. Now you can play around and use the complex, the color tolerance if you want to. To me, it's just easier to use my eraser. I'm going to get my eraser. I'm going to make it as big as it'll go. And I'm going to come in here without touching any of the gray and get as much of the area as I can get. Okay, I'm going to make this smaller so we can see the whole thing. But I'm going to get in there and get all of that junk out of there without touching any of the gray area, and I can't go any further with that. Then I'm just going to come over here, I'm going to release my mouse button and I'm going to make that smaller, and now I'm going to go in and get everything that I can get. Oops, I hit the gray, so I'm going to hit undo. It's best if you release your mouse button in between each one, that way you don't have to go back and do other areas. I'm just going to clean this out. I'm going to leave some so you guys can see what happens if you miss some. So now that looks pretty good, or I'm going to say it looks pretty good. And we're going to hit continue. Oops, look at that. I got all of this garbage up here and in here. So if I use that as a cut image, that's not going to be very good. So I'm going to go back, hit my back button, and I'm going to get my eraser again, and I'm going to keep it small this time, and I'm going to go in there, and you want to clean all of that up. Then you're going to hit continue, and again, pretend all of this is gone. You're going to name it, you're going to tag it, and you're going to save it. Okay? I'm just going to go back all the way. And then you're going to come in and you're going to upload it again. Okay? As a matter of fact, let me just go to uploads. And you can see here's my gray image with everything all cleaned up, and I saved it as a cut. Okay? Saved as a cut. Here's the whole image saved as a print and cut. Here is just that gray that I finished cleaning up as a cut image. Or I think I did leave them as print and cut. It doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. And then you're going to upload it again. And on this upload, we're going to clean it up just a little bit differently. So we're going to bring it in. We're going to hit complex. We're going to go to continue. I believe this is where I did my 100. And you're going to have to play around with this because every image Whether you use this color tolerance or anything like that is going to depend on your image. On some it will work well, and some you may not use it at all. And I'm just going to click and get rid of all of that. Then I'm going to come in and get rid of the white and the red. I don't need that red. I don't need that white that's in the center. All I needed was my gray border and my black. That's all I need. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to continue. I'm going to check, make sure it cleaned up well. It did. Looks perfect. I'm going to name it. I'm going to tag it. And I'm going to save it. Okay? And now we're just going to pretend that we just did those. So those are the two that I have. Here is my whole one. You're just going to select them and bring them in to your canvas. They're going to come in pretty large because they are done from a PNG. And you can see that I have all of these triangles up here. And what that's saying is I brought them as a print and cut. Doesn't matter. Again, it does not matter, even if you're going to cut them. Okay? And I am going to show that tonight too, Pat, to show how easy it is. I'm just going to select all, and then I am going to come over here and I'm going to size this down to a workable size. That way everything is coming in at the same exact size. Let's go down to a 6 so that way I can put everything on screen for you guys. There we go. So here is my black one, here is my silver one, and then here is the whole image, and it's colors. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of that. So how do I layer this out to make it like an SVG? First thing I'm going to do is select on no fill and change it to a cut. And I'm going to come over here and change this one to a no fill, which makes it a cut. But I want to leave that black, okay? So that I can tell what I've got going on here. Once you've changed them both to cut, how did I select all in? Right here at the top. Right up here under on your toolbar. You might see it if you don't have anything. So, yeah, right here. Select all. We'll select everything on the page. Okay. So I'm going to duplicate this one. And the main inner image, you're good to go. So now I've duplicated that and changed it to white, and I am going to contour that. And what I'm going to do is I am going to hide that outside contour and just keep the inside contour. So now I have that white layer in there. Okay, but if I am cutting this from vinyl and I don't want my vinyl to be bulky, I need to also make it just the parts that I need white, just like I have the silver. So I am going to take these two and I'm going to arrange, and I'm going to move that to the front so that it is over that white area. And you want to line that up and get it lined up pretty good where you're happy with it. And that looks pretty good getting there. That looks pretty good to me. I might have to bump that down just slightly. But I want it to, there we go. I don't want any of this touching in the back. So now I have that lined up like I want it. I'm going to take the two and select both of them. Remember, when you slice, you can only slice 2 layers at a time. Okay, and how can you tell how many layers you have? Over here in the layers panel, this is the brain. This is what you're telling your Cricut to do. Over here in this layers panel. I have 1 layer grade, 2nd layer grade, so I only have 2 layers selected and my slices lit up. If I have everything selected, my slice goes away because now I have 1, 2, 3 layers. Not going to work. So I only select those 2 layers right there and my slice is there. I'm going to click on it. Looks like it didn't do anything, but if I drag this away and then look at my white layer, it cut my white layer like I wanted it. Okay? So now I have my white layer, but all of these pieces are supposed to be red. So I'm going to duplicate that piece. And the first piece I'm going to go in and I'm going to contour it, and I'm going to take out all of the pieces that are supposed to be red. And then this main piece, I think. No, that main piece stays. There we go. I think I got it right. Oops, nope, I didn't. Go back. Contour. Show all contours, hide all contours. I just want to get rid of, I hate when I can't see it. I have to, let me do this one so I can get it off screen just a little bit so I can see. Contour. I hate that it covers everything up. I want to get rid of that, the big bulk. I want to get rid of that, the second big bulk, and then I want to get rid of, I think I want that one. I want to get rid of all of that. Is what I want to get rid of. I just want the white pieces, which are right there and right there. Those two. I think I have it now. There we go. Oops, I missed one. Contour. Where are you? There it is. So I'm going to get rid of that. All right, there's my beak. Oh, I did need that. That was his foot. Bring that piece back. That's right there. I need that piece. That needs to be white. Okay. I got to duplicate this one more time. The white one has to be duplicated again. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to contour this one. I think I'm just missing. I know what I'm doing. That one is not supposed to be clipped. That's what it is. That's where I'm messing up. That one stays. All these little ones go. That gives me what I want. Sorry, didn't mean to confuse you guys. I was taking out the big piece instead of the centerpiece. It was the centerpiece you want to get rid of. So it looks kind of weird right now. But that gives you your white layer inside the gray. And then you have your black layer inside the gray. Now we need our red layer. So I'm going to change this one to red. And then we're going to contour it. And this is where I take out both of the big layers. And I leave all of those. That one goes, and then that goes, and that goes. And what contour does is it removes cut lines, guys. So boom, there we go. Now we have our red. Don't be scared to use your contour. I couldn't get my contour screen to move, I don't believe. I've tried that before. Maybe since the update. No, you can't move it. Won't let you. But you can see, let me go in and get my other piece right here. That's not it. That's my other one. That's the one I played with. Now, that one's supposed to be red. So let's go in and fix that. You can go back and double check. Make sure you got everything laid out right. So I'm going to go and get my red layer right here. I'm going to go and contour it. I'm going to change that one on his foot. And then I'm going to take my white layer here and I'm going to go in and take that one out of his foot. So there we go. Now, is it right? Yes. Don't be scared, Anne. You can't. This is the thing. Everything that I'm doing right here, if I mess up, so what? It's not going to mess up anything. It's not going to mess up your design space. You're not going to mess up the image because all you have to do is reload it again. If you get frustrated or you can't get it layered out like you want, you can get rid of it. Yeah, you can go in and look at it if you're messed up and just adjust your contours. It's not permanent. Even if I save this, and I want to come back later, I can still come back later. You can either clean it up and do 4 different layers on that other screen and do all your erasers and stuff like that, or use your contour tool. And to me, the contour tool is so much easier. Okay? So, but the way that we've done this is that when you go and you hit Make It, okay, I'm going to leave both of them on the screen, and it says Project Incompatible. So I'm going to look at my Layers panel because it's incompatible, and I'm looking for that caution sign. There it is. I'm going to click it. Oh, it's not supported. My image is too big for print and cut. Okay, so I have this one over here set for cut, and this one for print and cut, and it's too big. So I'm just going to make sure that it's below that 6.75 mark. So now it's 6 something, and my caution sign is gone. So now I'm going to hit Make It. Now, if I want to do print and cut, now print and cut I can do on copy paper, on cardstock, on printable vinyls, printable sticker paper. We went over a few weeks ago all of the things that you could use, different materials, water slides. There are printables in almost every medium. And if you're doing that, you don't have to clean up anything. Just upload your image, remove the background. Bam, you're good to go. You're going to print and cut this. And we do have videos on print and cut. So that one's ready to go. But if I'm doing it on iron-on and I'm not using a printable and I want it layered out, now I have 4 layers. I have my white layer, I have my gray layer, my black layer, and my red layer. And what I'm going to do is I am going to cut that one, and then I'm going to put black on my mat and cut that one. Then I'm going to put red on my mat and cut that one out of the material that I am planning to use, be it iron-on or vinyl. If I'm using iron-on, I need to go in and tell it to mirror my image, okay? I need that image to be flipped backwards so that when I flip it back over, it's facing the correct way. And you have to do that to every mat if you're using iron-on. If you're using adhesive vinyl, you do not need to do that. Only on iron-on. And what if I forget to do one and I go to cut this one and I hit continue? I am going to get a reminder from Cricut when I select iron-on. Right here, let's get our everyday iron-on. Right here, make sure your mirror is turned on and your iron-on material, the face of it, which is your shiny, pretty side, is down on the sticky part of your mat. So I would have to check, and I don't have that one on mirror. You can see that the mirror is not on, so I'm going to edit. It says mirror off, and I'm going to come down here and turn mirror on and say done, and now it says mirror on. So you have several reminders in here to check before you cut. You cannot break anything. Exactly, Jamie. You cannot break anything in Design Space. You may not like your layout or whatever. If you want to, you can go in and you can change it, or you can delete it completely and start over, but you cannot mess up Design Space. It's not going to mess up your computer, nothing. You cannot harm it in any way. So play. Go in and play and have fun in there. Okay? So what are your other options for an image like that? Now, in the group files, we have an Inkscape tutorial, compliments of Miss Louise. She helped us out with that. In that group resource file, it has a step-by-step instruction of how to open up your image in Inkscape and create an SVG of it. I use Shortcuts a lot, okay? And I'm going to show you how much easier it is to make your SVG with Shortcuts a lot. In here I have this, and I'm just going to go to Trace, which is basically what you're going to be doing if you're using Inkscape, and I'm going to choose my image. And I'm going to go down and I'm going to get that Falcons logo and open it. Okay? And I have 4 colors here, so I'm just going to say 4 colors. Minimum is 2, so that should give me everything that I want. I don't want it really to smooth anything out. I want 100% detail. I'm just going to leave that smooth on there. Don't really have to change it. And I'm going to update my preview. And that's what it looks like. So that is kind of, I better go back to 5 color so I can pick up that other color. And now let's update that preview. Looks pretty good. But if I could only get that on trace, I'm good with that. So let's say okay. And I'll show you why I'm good with that. It just didn't pick up the white. Okay. So now I have everything there. I'm going to ungroup this. And you can see that I have that black layer, but that red layer is solid. And that gray layer is solid. Everything is solid. So that's not really what I'm wanting. So what I'm going to do is get rid of this right here. Just going to, all I did was ungroup it, and I'm going to get rid of that. I really only want these 2 layers, okay? I am going to select that and break it apart. I'm just going to, oops, did it break apart? Oh, I broke apart the wrong one. Let me undo. All I'm doing is right-clicking, guys. Let me get that back. There we go. So I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to right-click and break apart. And all I want is the outside image. But you could see that it was already in layers. Just going to get rid of that. Then I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to duplicate it. No, I'm not. I'm going to break it apart. Duh. I really should have duplicated it. Let me go undo. I am going to copy. There we go. I'm going to copy it. Paste it, just in case I make an error, so I have it. There we go. And now I'm going to bring this one in. Now I need a white layer for that. Send that to the back. It's kind of hard here because my screen makes this gigantic over here and I can't see everything. There we go. There we go. I want to move that to the back and this on top. So I can leave it like I had it, and I can do shadow layers by going to Appearance and adding a shadow layer and telling it what colors I want those shadow layers to start with, all of that good junk, and how many shadow layers I want and that I want them to black out. And I can say okay, and I can get as many layers as I want. That's still in my way. Back there on that. Okay? Now I can do it that way, or I can bring that in and leave that. Let me get rid of those layers. So making layers is super easy. I can right click, Appearance, add shadow layer. So that's how you add your shadow layers. Super simple, super easy. But if I break apart, then I want to get rid of this big piece. I'm trying to select it. And it's wanting to mess with me. There we go. So there we go. Get rid of that. And I really don't need that. I want these 2 pieces. I'm going to come up, and you can't see it on this screen, but over on my other screen, you're going to have a file, and you're going to go to File right here, Object Path. Right here under Path is where we're going to be. I am going to, I have to click back on it. There we go. Under Path, I am going to do a Union, which is the same as Weld. And I'm going to go into my color palette, and I'm going to change that to white. Say OK. These, I'm going to select, because you want them to stay in place, I'm going to go to Path and Union. And then I'm going to change that to the red. And say OK. And then I am just going to select all of that and group them. Now I have this black. I accidentally deleted my shadow. So you can see that I have that white in there, and then I have my gray, but I lost my white layer. So I'm going to select my black layer. I'm going to right click it. I'm going to appearance. I'm going to add a shadow layer. I want that shadow layer to be white. I'm going to say OK. Then I'm going to do the size on it. Probably get it. That might be. And say OK. And there is my white layer. I just need to bring it to the front. Actually do away with that if you wanted to bring it back in and slice it. I have it rounded too. But you can play around and you can trace. You can do that in you can trace it in design in SCAL, or you can trace it in Inkscape and still get your SVG rather than cleaning up all those layers. I want to do that again, but I don't want it. I don't like that shadow layer. It's too big, I think. Appearance. Add a shadow layer. Let me go to 150. I think I'll leave it at 150. I want it to be white. And then I want it to be straight, not rounded. Say OK. There we go. I'm just going to move these out of the way because I can get rid of those two white pieces. But you can see that shadow layer on there now. So I'm just going to select those two. And in Shortcuts a lot, you have to get your box around both pieces. There we go. And I'm going to first copy because I'm going to need a copy. And I'm going to go to that bar again. And I'm going to go to Object, I believe. Let's see. It's either Object or Path. And I am going, it's Path. And I'm going to do a front, a back minus the front. I want the back white layer, but I don't want that black. There we go. Let me ungroup that. And get rid of those two white pieces. That to the back. I'm going to paste my black layer and get it back. That I don't need. I can delete that. So now I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to pull this out so that I can see it. So I've got my layers. I want that one in the back. Then I want the white layer. Then the red layer. And then the black layer. And then you'll, of course, want to align them all up. It's super, super easy and simple to create them in Shortcuts a lot as well. I want that to actually be on the top. There we go. I'm having a lining up issue. I usually use my nudge keys. There we go. We're getting there. That white layer is a little bit tough because I deleted it earlier. But you can see it's very easy. Oh, it does have a snap feature. Where's that at, Louise? That's in... Oh, there's my hints too. Is it there? Is it in Snap? Snap is going to be Show Grid. Is it in here? I'm waiting on, we have a little bit of lag. I know there's a snap feature in there. I just forgot where it is. I don't use it much. But super easy and simple to create. And then you can also make it all solid layers if you don't want to slice, and then slice it in Design Space. I've done that before too. I just don't know where that snap is. Like I said, I don't use it much. But there's so many different things you can do in here. Hi, Patty. You don't get the arrows when your image is selected. You get the boxes. In SCAL, Linda? You've been on Inks? Yeah, it's in here somewhere. I've seen that it's a snap to, I want to say snap to grid. It might be in arrange. No, that's just layer properties. It's in there somewhere. Oh, you got it figured out? Great. Did you not have the guides on? It depends on what kind of handles you selected. I think that's what you meant, these arrows. You just got the box. But Shortcuts a Lot is super easy, super simple to use. And then you're to save it, you're just going to go up here to File, and then you're going to select Export. And let me do that and show you guys. I'm going to click Export, and then you'll get this box, and then you can name it and just hit Save. Okay. And now I have an SVG of it. So I'm going to move that out of the way. But once every design is going to be different. It depends on the image that you start with those. Let me cancel this. And my image is not perfect because I was just playing around showing you guys some of the to go about getting your images in Design Space. So I wanted to make sure that I covered them all for everybody. I'm going to go to Upload, Upload, and now I'm going to drag my SVG that I just did in Shortcuts a Lot, and it is going to be different. You can see it's all scattered. You're going to name it, tag it, save it, and then you can bring it in. I'm going to slide this guy down to the bottom not to confuse it. And let's make it 5 inches. So now you have all of this, and you're just going to ungroup, and you have your images that you can use. I got a little ding in that one. If you have something like that happen, look, come in here to Contour. Instead of taking that SVG back out, and I fixed that little slit that was cut in this piece. So there's ways to work around and get those layers the exact same way in Shortcuts a Lot. And you can do it in Inkscape too, and end up with that same exact outcome. This one was super easy and simple, where you could clean up your PNG in Design Space and get the same result. Just takes a little more time. Not all your images will be that easy. So in some instances, when we say you're going to need to do that in Inkscape, or you're going to need to do that in Shortcuts a Lot, and the reason being is Design Space is not advanced enough with the tools to do it. Okay? And especially if it's a copyright image, because we cannot do those for you guys. You have to do them on your own, and they have to be for your personal use. We just won't take the risk in our group. It's against Facebook community standards to share an SVG or an image in Facebook for that. So you can say, hey, how do I do this? And we can help you with that, but we can't actually do it for you. Oh, thanks, Ann. You'll get there. Trust me. And if you're still stuck, you can always message me again, guys, and I will help you and walk you through step for step on what you need to do. But go in and play. Don't be afraid to hurt anything. Get different types of images and play with those different types of images because they will clean up differently. When you do iron on, if you separate them and instead of doing a print and cut iron on, you will have to layer them. And this is what I'm just going to get rid of this. We don't need but one. I don't want to confuse anything. I just wanted to show you how easy it was to make one and upload. So this one you would print and cut. All you're going to do is print and cut it according to if you're using StarCraft, if you're doing it on light materials for lights, you will mirror it and print it and cut it. If you are not doing it, if you're doing it on one for darks, you will not mirror it. And it will tell you that on your packaging. So any of your printables, you need to read your packaging and mirror or not mirror according to those directions. Now, if you're doing vinyl and you've got all these layers and you've got 4 different colors, yes, you would, let's just say that you've cut these from iron-on and you've mirrored them and you flip them over. You're going to start with your biggest, your base layer, which would be your gray or silver, unless you were doing a foil, and then you would want to do that layer last. Then you'll want to come in with your second layer and do the white, and you'll fit that in. And the way that you do that, and I have a video on layering as well, you will put the gray layer down first, but you will not press it for the entire duration. So if it's supposed to be applied at 315 degrees for 30 seconds, you're going to apply it at 315 for about 3 seconds, just long enough to stick to that item, okay? Then you're going to go in with your white, and instead of pressing it 30 seconds, you're going to press it for 3 seconds, just until it sticks, okay? Once it sticks, you're going to peel that one, and you'll want to protect it each time with your Teflon sheet or your carrier sheet. Then you're going to come in here with this next biggest layer, and you're going to press that one in for 3 seconds at its temperature. You're going to peel that one, and then you're going to come in with your final layer, and you're going to place that one in, and you're going to press the entire image for 30 seconds at 315 or whatever your time and your temp is. You're going to press the entire section, all of the layers at one time with that last layer. Okay? Does that make sense, Ann? When you're ironing on layers, you only press that last layer and the entire image for the full amount of time. Because if you press it each layer for 30 seconds, you're going to overpress, and by the time you get to that 4th layer, that last layer, you're probably going to be overheated or you're going to destroy the adhesive on it, and it's not going to hold long. Now, if you're doing this on vinyl, adhesive vinyl on, let's say, a car window, personally, I would do print and cut. But if you want to do it in layers, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to start with this layer so that you know where you want your placement to be. You always want to start with the largest layer when you can. And then you're going to put this layer in. I suggest using the wet method. I do have a video on the wet method if you're going to layer vinyl. Because once you stick it, it's stuck and you're not going to shift it. If you use the wet method and you accidentally sit it down here, at least you've got some time to scoot it into place where it needs to be. If you drop this layer and you drop it on top of that white layer and you accidentally get it off like that, it's stuck there. But using the wet method, you'll be able to slide it into place. And the same with your little red pieces. And then your vinyl is all layered out into one smooth layer instead of being stacked up 4 thicknesses high. And what I want you to do is get 4 pieces of vinyl, 4 different colors, and just cut the corners off of them or use a small scrap and stick those to one another and stick them off to the side. Like maybe take a little triangle of a piece and stick them off to the side of each other. I mean completely off, because I want you to see what happens, what it looks like, this piece is going to look like when it's sitting on top of that piece if you get it off. And I want you to put all of your pieces on there so that you can see how thick is that going to be if I don't slice it and I use 4 solid images. Trust me, for me personally, I don't like it, okay? I don't like it. I don't like layered vinyl. To me, it's bulky and you can see the layer below it. And if you've sliced it and you don't get it in there exact, you can tell that it's off. Oh, you want to see some guides for iron-on? We can do that too. For your iron-on, you can add guides like Marianne is talking about. If I were going to iron this on, what I would do is line everything up where it's supposed to be, making sure that everything is exact in proportion and laid out where it needs to be at. Then I would take a star, because a star has 5 points on it. A circle won't really work. And I'm going to have some wasted trash area right here anyway. And I would put a star there, and then I'm going to duplicate that. And I'm going to place one maybe right here where I'm probably going to have some waste as well. Excuse me. And I could probably get by with 2 stars, but if you're new, I would say maybe put one up here. Okay, and you can make this one smaller. It doesn't have to be the same size, because if you're looking at a square grid, this up here would be waste anyway. Okay, all of this up here would be waste if you're looking at a square grid of iron-on. So let's just pretend everything is exactly where I want it to be. I'm going to take those 3 stars and I'm going to select them and I'm going to weld them together. So now if I move those stars, they are one piece. Okay, and I'm going to place them right there. I'm going to duplicate that for each color I have. So I have 4 colors. I'm going to have 4 sets of stars. I'm going to make one set the same color as my gray layer. I'm going to make the next set the same color as my white layer. I'm going to make that next set the color of my black layer. And the last set I'm going to make the color of my red layer. Okay, then I'm going to select all of my stars. And I am going to align them up here at the top, center. And then I'm going to place that right where I need it to be on my image. Now I'm going to select that top layer, which is my red. I'm going to hold my shift key. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to find my red layer and select it in the layers panel. And I'm not going to move anything. I'm going to weld. Then I'm going to slide that red layer out of the way. I'm going to select my black stars. I'm going to come over here and find my black layer. Not moving anything. I'm going to weld it. Then I'm going to slide that out of the way. My white stars, my white layer, weld, and move it out of the way. I'm going to select my gray layers and weld. Now everything that I have should line up when I go to iron it on. The trick is, you're going to hit make it, and I'm going to select mirror on all of my iron-on here because I want everything to cut in mirror. Now you can even attach this to a square so that it cuts the square out for you. I don't generally do it because I'm just going to cut a 6x5 square using my trimmer out of my iron-on after I've cut. Some people just like to put their small square on there and cut it. So either way that you want to do that. Now when you cut this and you go to weed it, you're going to cut some of this carrier away, and you're going to, as a matter of fact, with your gray layer, you don't even need it. So you can peel the gray stars off. Your base layer, you don't really need the stars, but it will help you with your lineup. But you're going to cover those stars with some of your carrier so it won't iron on, if that makes sense. You're going to, after you cut it and after you weed, you're going to cut away some of your waste. Down here you'll have some waste on the carrier. You're just going to cut it and cover your star. Make sure you're not into your image at all, and hide that so that when you iron it on, that part won't iron on and only your image irons on. And you're going to do that for each layer. That way you can help line it up. And you can do that with vinyl too. You can put those registration marks on there so that when you go to line it up and you're placing those pieces, you've got 5 points on each one of these so that you're not trying to twist it and lay it down like this over the other one. So you can do it with iron-on and you can do it with vinyl, but when you do it with your iron-on, just make sure that you cover those stars with carrier sheet so they don't transfer. With adhesive vinyl, it doesn't matter because you can peel them off. Did that clarify that, Marianne, for everybody? Anybody have questions about that on registration marks? Thank you. View and then snap to. Thank you, Louise, for snap to grid on SCAL, guys. You put little pieces of freezer paper under your registration. That's a good idea too, Jamie. You can do that. Put a little piece of freezer paper under your registration shapes on that first layer. And then you can peel them off. So what she's saying to do, in case any of you don't understand, freezer paper has like a little plastic backing, and you just slip that up under your carrier sheet, up under the stars or your registration mark, and iron it on, and then you don't have to worry about it. You line up all your stars, and at the end, you just peel the freezer paper off your shirt, and it will, all of your registration marks should come with it. Good tip, Jamie. Thank you. I always just use my carrier because I have it there, but freezer paper is a good idea, especially if you're new. Make sure you put that shiny side of the freezer paper down, and that is not parchment paper. That is freezer paper. Freezer paper will iron on and stick, but it will peel right off. It just has like a little plastic waxy film on the back for a temporary stick. And I always suggest, if you're brand new at iron-on and you're brand new at doing layers like that, get an old pillowcase, something you don't care about, or a piece of scrap fabric, and iron on it. Take some of your scraps and punch hearts or whatever, cut something out of those scraps and iron those on and get the feel for it so that you understand exactly how it's working before you cut your images and waste all your materials. Take and set aside a little piece of that to play with. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. If you have any questions on anything that we covered tonight, the project from last week that we made this week, or any of the how to lay out your design or create layers using Design Space or Cricut a lot, please let me know. Ask. Don't be scared to ask. Don't be scared to play, guys. That's how we learn. All right. I will see you guys. When is our next? It looks like, oh, I have a file coming out for you guys tomorrow. So if you are a Patreon supporter or a Ko-fi supporter or a monthly YouTube supporter and you got access to files, Oops, I can't get it on there. Let me make sure this, there we go. The Cup Caddy is coming out at 3 a.m., which is the 14th. So the file might go up a few minutes early. No, I'm sorry, midnight. It goes on at midnight. So everything should go up at midnight. I don't know if I will send the post out for Patreons and put it on Ko-fi until tomorrow, but it will be out. I did finish it, and it's coming. Let me get that to go over. There we go. Your Cup Caddy. The video is ready and the file is ready, so it will be going up at midnight for all you supporters. If you're not a supporter, please support on Patreon. There's a link down below. If you do an annual, you'll save 10%, or you can do monthly on Ko-fi. There is no discount on Ko-fi, and there are no files as of November the 1st for Wednesday supporters. So one-time support is just a tip and a thank you from me. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I hope you guys learned something, and I will catch you on Monday, the 19th, I believe it is. See you then.